All right, hello out the Untrip campus. We got the mighty Joe Beard Benedict podcasting yet again from our glorious broadcasting room here on campus for my first official session of the Rabel Rouser Talk Chat. I am here with Stephen Johnstone. He is the president and founder of the NCCC Free Thinkers Club, who is approved and accredited by the NCCC Student Life Office. What's going on, Steve?
Not too much. Just here hanging out. I hope to talk to you a little bit about the club and a little bit about philosophy.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure meeting you, talking to you all throughout the semester here.
Most definitely.
Looking forward to more chats in the future.
Definitely.
So pretty much, I guess, I'll just start off by having you just lay down the foundation of the club and what you plan on achieving and what your ideas are, who you want to talk to, who you want to be a part of it, why.
All right. Well, pretty much the Free Thinkers Club is a place for free thinkers to get together, talk about philosophy and basically not to let things like religion, dogma, like any kind of dogmatic thing get in the way, authority, just to be able to have a live life type of philosophy, humanist, I suppose, in a way. We trying to get people together. So far we've got about 9-10 members. I'd love to see more people get together who have an open mind about things and to be able to get our ideas together and form a good idea among all of us to improve society, I suppose.
So not so much against the green thinking, just more open thought, not so formatted, if you will.
Yes, most definitely. So far we had a couple of meetings because we got approved late in the semester, so we haven't had that many meetings. But it's been pretty much like an open forum. We've talked about different authors and different things that we liked, such as Carl Sagan and Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and people like that have been the lead in kind of not to say like an atheist movement, but more so get away from the norm. Like you were saying, it's not completely against the grain, but just a different way of thinking, I suppose.
Yeah, not so formatted and politically correct, if you will.
No, definitely not politically correct. Not to do religious bashing, but in a way we talked about things that have been contradicting to religion and things that science has come up with that have had answers for questions that religion has posed, and that has because I look at religion as people need a superior being for answers that we have had questions throughout history, and now we have the evidence to prove things like evolution, and in the sense of evolution is here on Earth, and not just evolution of our species, but evolution of the whole entire universe. There's photography of the oldest universe that we've seen so far. It was 13.2 billion years old. We're looking at it in today's eyes because it's so far away in the way that light travels. We're looking at it being 13.2 billion years old, and it's astounding to look at something like that.
That is mind-blowing.
And I've been doing a lot of research on the universe and different things, and one of the things that I like to talk about is the SETI project, and that allows us to we're trying to make communication with an intelligent extraterrestrial type of being. So that's one of the things I like to talk about. Like I said, SETI. That SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So that's one of the things that I try to promote. You can do it at your own home computer. There's programs out there. You can help run the SETI program. It's not government funded anymore. So
well, that's good to know.
There's you just have to Google search SETI and you'll find out about it. Computer program. It'll run all the time on your computer when your computer's on, and it helps them search for signals out in space.
I've always said when the issue of, say, time travel comes up, like you said, I always tell people when you look up at the sky, you're essentially time traveling.
Most definitely.
You're seeing the history.
Like I was just speaking about, we're looking at that universe that's 13.2 billion years old, and we're looking at it at that time period.
Right.
Because of the way, like I said, light travels. It takes a long time.
It's almost like all we got to do is figure out a way to close that gap.
Most definitely.
Or get to that other end, and essentially that would be time travel.
Yep, and definitely. And obviously there's been theories throughout like actually probably the past 100 years more so, of theories about time travel. And like Einstein talked about, he didn't think that time travel was possible because of relativity, like of time and everything. And to speak about time is one of the things that's interesting to the human species, is because it's something that we've created among ourselves.
Right.
The concept of time, because one day is a full rotation of the Earth, and then 1 year is the rotation around the sun. So it's just something that we've came up with, and we use that to put in perspective. But in reality of time relevance to our species being on Earth is so minuscule to the amount of time the universe has been around.
Absolutely.
I've watched stuff with Carl Sagan, and when you put the universe into a year-long calendar, we make up the human beings itself make up about 10 seconds out of a whole entire year of the universe.
And we're only 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
We think we're everything sometimes.
And bringing that up, that reminds me of like the way people look at religion. The way at least I look at people that need religion is, it's like we feel so superior among all the other species. And that this is just on the planet Earth. Like, we feel so much above any other animal, but in reality, we're just animals, just like everything else. Like every other animal, like cats and dogs and any of our pets. We've just have the mentality to be able to be curious.
We're self-aware.
Yeah, we're self-aware.
Right.
And we're the only species that fears death.
That is true.
Any other species, any other animal doesn't care about that. They live their life freely, and they go about their life as it's never going to end, and then when it ends, nothing happens for them. Even in religion, humans are the only ones that go to heaven or hell or whatever kind of religious, spiritual thing that they believe in, like reincarnation.
It's almost like we need to hold on to something like that.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's a fear of death. It's one of those things that you like. For me, I've had to overcome, becoming more like I guess progressive in a sense that I realize that life is short, especially like the amount of time that we're here. Even if I lived for 100 years on this earth, that's still so minuscule in the essence of time and space. And I just that's why I probably in the past 6 years, I'd say that my life has changed when I started to think more. That's pretty much it. I started to think. And I did more research on things, and that's when I became less religious and more so of like a free thinker, and being able to look at the aspects of life and look at how great things are around us. Look at nature. Look at, like you said, look up at the stars. Like, these are amazing things around us that when you look at things and you I'm trying to think, like kind of like have a narrow view of things, like such as being in religion. I like, from the research that I've done on religion, is it's a lot of closed-mindedness. Don't ask questions.
Right.
Accept things. This is what we say is true, and you don't have to ask. We have the answers for everything. And like I said previously, all these things that they have answers for everything have been answered. And I don't think it's fair to give a supernatural being credit for things that happen naturally. Evolution happened naturally. They've done studies in labs where they've shown the beginning elements of the things that are on Earth and how they've formed life. And even using planets that are methane-based, they've been able to form life, methane-based life instead of carbon-based life. And we look at the universe as a whole, there's the probability of there being an intelligent life out there is high. And then there's already been, like, even on Mars, there's been signs of bacteria and microorganisms just on the planet next to us. So
right.
To say that people don't think that there could be aliens is kind of preposterous to me. Like, just to think that we're that superior.
That's the thing. The human race is very self-important, I believe. And you could take the argument too that religion says that God created us in His image. We almost created God in our image, I believe.
Almost definitely.
He's like a bigger, more massive version of what we are. He creates, He destroys. Everything we do just on a grander scale. Yep. And like you said, to put the fear into a population, government control, don't ask questions, don't think outside the box. It's an interesting argument,
and
for sure.
Like you were saying, like with the whole God aspect is like I'll look at like Christianity, and you think about a picture of Jesus Christ, and what does he like? What does he usually look like? He usually looks like a white male with a long beard and stuff like that. But in reality, if he even existed, he would be Middle Eastern,
right,
darker skin. And he I when it comes to like government, like a lot of like people on the right side of the political spectrum, like Republicans and conservatives, they like to think that they're more Jesus-like, but in reality, when you think about Jesus, he was more of a hippie.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would share with everybody. He cared for people. He didn't try to control people. He let people. He told them to basically do what they want.
Even biblically, he hung out with lepers and prostitutes. Yeah, no one else would go near them.
One of his best friends was Mary Magdalene, who was a prostitute, like you said.
Right.
Like, and like these, like I don't know, talk about the Bible. Like these stories came about years after the so-called existence. There was never any writings during the time of his existence. These happened decades after, and they were in things called the gospel, which at that time were the good news. It was just stories at that time, and there's so many contradicting aspects in the Bible. Like, I can't remember, I think it was the book of Mark. He places Jesus in a mythical realm. He doesn't even place him on earth. And it's just really interesting when you really pick apart the things in the Bible, the things that it says. It baffles me that people say that they want to live their life by a book like that, because like even in the Old Testament they talk about like rape and murder and like stoning people for working on Sundays. Like who's gonna live their life morals by that kind of thing, like for going to work on the holy day?
Well, some of that's still going on in the Middle East, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But and then like you think about the 10 Commandments. Half of the commandments are to fear God and to honor God. If God was so powerful and so like, why would he need to make these rules up where you have to like honor him above all, like don't have anybody in front of him or whatever, and like to like keep the Sabbath holy? Like these are just it's pointless rules that I see like people that need to follow. And then they say that their morals derive from things like not to murder and not to steal. Like these are things that just being alive, I know it's not a good idea to murder somebody. It's not right. Anybody can figure that out.
It could be common sense, yes, absolutely.
And not to steal from other people. Like how do you need that like written down for you? You can just be like, oh, that's somebody else's property, I'm not going to take it.
Right.
And like I don't think you need these set rules to be moral. And I think that's like a notion that like atheists get, is that they're immoral. And like there's even been studies done that atheists are the most untrusted people in the United States. And it's crazy because they think that we're such bad people, and we don't have any spirituality, or we don't like to live our lives morally, like we like to break the rules, and it's just not true. I'm completely like, my whole philosophy on life is to care about other people and to not hurt anybody else. Like when it comes to government, I don't like the government telling me what I can and can't do if I'm not hurting anybody else. Like I don't see why there has to be a rule like or a law about these kind of things. Like they make laws about the drinking age and laws about the smoking age, and where I can and can't smoke, or where you can't drink. You can drink in only certain times of the day, and you can't drink outside in public, or you can, like, it's just such minuscule bullshit that you don't need. Like these rules and regulations that just hold people back from living a natural life. On
the whole, though, and I think it's sad to say, from just me aging and getting wisdom, people want to have rules. They're almost afraid not to have them.
I agree with you, because
me and you get along on the level where we almost want to push them away, even break them, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
But most people need those parameters to work within, because they don't know what to do otherwise. They get scared.
That's like, it's the sheep mentality, the
right.
Sheep following the herd, and it's just people have to break loose from that. They have to realize that there's more things out there than just the sheep mentality. Just go with the flow. Like I've talked to many of people about like politics and about religion, and I came to the conclusion that most people don't care. They don't care about laws that are going to be getting passed. Like right now,
They don't think long range. Where's this leading to?
Yeah, they don't. It doesn't affect me. That's their mentality. It's not going to affect me. But things like right now that's going on. There's meetings going on in the UN about controlling the internet worldwide. That is a big problem. Like, we don't need this government control over this entity like the internet. This is a world-based. This shouldn't be a world-governed thing. It's just kind of ridiculous. And then when you come to the United States and you got President Barack Obama, who's passing the NDAA, which inside the NDAA it says that he can detain somebody without cause indefinitely. And why would you ever need that kind of power? That's so...
Yeah, it's absolute power.
Yeah,
that's scary.
It's scary. And
you could wake up in a bad mood one morning and decide, I'm going to lock you up because I don't like you right now.
Well, there's already
mean?
been a case of it. There was an ex-Marine that he posted on Facebook. He posted lyrics from a song. It was like a violent song. FBI, and I think it was FBI and Secret Service and the police showed up at his house, took him out of his house. They had, some of his friends were there. I think there was a girlfriend also. They were videotaping when they were taking him. But they put him in a mental hospital for 30 days for something he posted on Facebook. They were monitoring his Facebook.
Well, and not only that, they used him as I don't want to say a scapegoat, but as an example.
Yeah, as an example.
To scare anybody else that might want to try that behavior.
And, we have policy, it's not similar in the sense, but we have policies in the United States about whistleblowers and be able to, put this information out there when the government's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like Bradley Manning, I don't know if you've ever heard about him.
I'm familiar with the name.
He's the one that supposedly sent the information to WikiLeaks.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And he's been detained for over a year now, I think, and he's just getting through his the process of whatever kind of trouble he's going to be getting into. He could end up in jail for the rest of his life because he showed the rest of the world that America's not being this, especially in the American news media, we're not being as nice in trying to win the hearts and minds of these people. We're going over there and just blowing stuff up and killing people because they're somewhat suspicious.
Right.
You can go online and Google search collateral murder. That's the name of the video. One of the big things that was released is called Collateral Murder, and you have to watch it. It's the only way to put it. The things that are said in the video and the people that are being killed in it. It's not for the faint at heart, but it's something that really happened, something that is going on over in Iraq and stuff that's going on in Afghanistan. And these things don't need to be happening. Nobody deserves to get killed in that sense. I couldn't agree more.
And again, I find things like this just as you do, and you try to get it across to other people, and they're almost afraid to watch it. They don't want to know.
That's most definitely.
They turn a blind eye. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Society's not going to move forward with that mentality, unfortunately.
No, that's why I'm not trying to be a preacher in the sense, but I preach these things. I want people to do their own research. That's the only way to learn, is to learn for yourself. If you're just accepting knowledge and accepting things from what people say and not doing your own research, you're never going to know for yourself.
You're absolutely right.
You have to do your own research, look these things up. The internet is such a wonderful source. But it's dangerous in the sense that there's a lot of false knowledge. So be careful when you're doing your research, but definitely go out and do your own research, like I said.
Well, again, it's common sense. You got to use your own base morality, I guess, if you will. Just follow your gut. We're all born with some sort of instinct, and I don't think it's something that you maintain through life. It's a skill you have to upkeep and practice.
Most definitely.
If you're used to being told what to do, when, where, how.
Well, yeah,
you don't know how to break that mold.
Well, I was in that mentality. I was in the military for a couple of years, and I
that's hard to believe knowing you now.
Yeah, well, that's helped me become who I am today. In the sense, I can't really talk too much about it. I was military intelligence in the U.S. Army. I was stationed at Fort Bliss, but I did work there. But I had top secret clearance, and I was privy to information that most people don't know.
Right.
And some of the stuff just made me sick to my stomach. You think about death tolls and civilian death tolls and just all this death. Like, it's so much death and unnecessary death. And
well, I can say this: you coming from that background, now having the mentality you have now, and enriching your thoughts that way. I personally came from a background of being surrounded by a lot of religious people, hardcore, fanatically religious people. Yeah. The cool thing about somebody like me or you, we're not having these thoughts or thinking against the grain again, if you will, just to oppose. No,
definitely not.
We're well-rounded now. We've seen one side. Yeah. We've touched base with the other side, and I think we'll find that perfect median where we can think for ourselves. We'll probably take something from either end, not always disagree with one or the other, but at least we're aware of them both.
Most definitely. Like, it's like I can't remember what it was on, but there was this study done, and it said that, like, speaking of like knowledge and stuff, like, atheists know more about religion than
religious people. Isn't that funny?
It's hilarious to me, because people that are so like into religion, they like you. Until I was 16, I was Roman Catholic. I grew up in a Roman Catholic house and went to church every week. But what I was trying to say was, like,
Steve's losing his thought over here.
My thoughts going too much.
You get to see both sides, man. It's you're informed on both ends. Yeah. You're not afraid to question.
No, definitely.
I think we're repeating that. I think everybody gets the point.
Yeah. I guess we could move on to something a little different, I suppose. Like, let me ask you something, like, about alien life. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, life in the rest of the universe.
I honestly feel that a lot of what is on our planet right now did come from collisions, explosions, just general antimatter, matter, dark matter, all of that falling into our gravity, our atmosphere, and combining in just the right way. But again, it all came from outside of this rock we're on right now. Yeah. We're all made of stardust. Anybody can tell you that.
Yes, definitely.
So that makes everything all in one in all. Who's to say? Who's to say?
And like, speaking of that, like, the whole being from stardust, like, it reminds me of Neil deGrasse Tyson. He did this thing about, like, the most astounding fact, and he talks about, like, how we've all came from stardust, like, looking out to the sky, and one day when we die, our energy that we've consumed being alive is going to be released back into the whole entire universe. And one day when the Earth explodes, not the Earth, when our sun expands and explodes, our planet will be consumed, and we'll go back into this cycle, and someday possibly be another
spit out again and put somewhere else. And it's a constant cycle of energy transfer.
And like talking about, like, length of time, it's like, this is an ongoing thing. It's never going to end.
It's beautiful.
It's definitely beautiful, and I think people need to look at things in that sense, and, like, look at the beauty of nature and look at the beauty of the universe. And we need to continue on that way, and, like, to speak to other people and to spread the message, and to get people to look into other things. Like, and I think, like, along with being a free thinker, I think a lot of people maybe be thinking that you have to be an atheist to be a free thinker, and that's not quite true. You could still be spiritual or religious, but in the sense that, like, if you believe in a god or gods in that matter, that you have to accept the fact that your God didn't do everything that the Holy Book said it did, if that makes sense.
It does, and I'll accentuate that point by saying most religions, I'm sure there are some that don't fall into this, but say that their God, whatever that may be, is all forgiving, all-knowing, does accept everything, and forgives all sin. Yeah. Not intentional, but so with that ingrained thought, why would the followers of that religion not be open-minded also, and forgiving and understanding and not so dictatorial? And it's I find it very ironic. Very ironic.
I find it ironic that basically the biggest sin, because like I said, I came from a Catholic background. The biggest sin in Catholicism is to think. Is the only unforgivable sin in the Bible is to doubt the existence of God.
Right.
Once you've done that, It says it.
You turn your back
in
on
black and white in the Bible. If you doubt the existence of God, that's the only unforgivable sin. The 10 Commandments sins: you can kill somebody, rape anybody, steal from people, forgiven. You doubt God, that's it. And
ironic.
I think that the inability to be able to question something when it comes to any other aspect of life, you talk about science, like social studies, math, like any type of subject, you always want to question things, and you always want to figure out the answer and make sure things are correct. But when it comes to religion, it's the final word.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, and it's funny in that sense.
Couldn't agree more. It's very contradictorial. Is that even a word?
I'm not sure, but sounds good.
If I can spell it right, it's a word.
There you go. Making up new stuff. But no, like I think one of the things I also like to bring up is evolution. And people like to say, "Oh, it's just a theory," but in that aspect, gravity is a theory. Cell structure is a theory. Plate tectonics is a theory.
Right.
But we accept all these other things, but for some reason, the word theory put on evolution, no, people don't accept that. And you got people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Carl Sagan, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins telling people it's not, in the sense of a scientific way, it's a theory, but it's a fact. We have the proof to show from the beginning of our species to now what has had to have happened for us to be here today. Like from stuff coming from outer space and hitting our planet to the atmosphere of how it was when Earth was first formed, because there was barely, if any, oxygen on this planet. And it just, for people not to accept this science and these studies, to just say that it's crap is...
Right.
I can't believe it.
I mean, I've read The Origin of Species, Charles Darwin.
Yeah.
That could be a whole nother show right there. But what I will touch on is that, I mean, I believe that I evolve every day on a personal level.
Okay.
Whether it's spiritually, emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
Whether I believe that a species actually evolves into a completely different species, that's, again, an argument that could be talked about for hours and hours and hours. Yeah. But intraspecially, evolution occurs on a daily basis.
Oh, definitely.
Now, to put that on a magnified scale, again, but we could bring in doctorates, PhDs in here. We could talk about this forever.
Yeah, most definitely. Like,
but why not find out the facts? Why not argue it?
Yeah, why not? Like,
you're saying evolution as a quote-unquote theory. Yeah. It scares people because it takes God out of the equation, yes. And nobody wants to do that.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily mean, what if his plan was to have things adapt to their environments? If they didn't, everything was so stringent, they wouldn't survive.
I think the biggest thing, especially when it comes to like religion and stuff like that, is that people have to realize these books were written by men.
Right.
Human beings, and there are errors. Because right in the beginning in Genesis, it talks about, everything was created in 6 days. It's not possible.
A day being 1,000 years, though.
Oh, and then they say that in like the Judeo-Christian way, they say that like the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Right.
And I know people that are Jewish, and they have the Jewish calendar. It's like year 6,000 something in their little world. I guess I don't know what you want to call it.
In their little world.
they believe it's 6,000 years old, and when
thank God we're not getting phone calls, Steve.
Yes,
the phone would be ringing off the hook right now.
And like this is coming from somebody I'm not a doctor. I don't have a doctorate in science or anything. This is from my own personal research. You can look up my stuff, but that's about it for today. I'll have to stop by another time.
This is definitely going to be a regular conversation me and you are going to have on my show.
Definitely.
You have an active Facebook page, which I am a member of. Unfortunately, like you said, I was later in the semester.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to add many thoughts, but yep. I would condone anybody that is interested in the show to go visit it and start dropping. It could be a quotable quote of the day or just a random thought, anything that could create a nice discussion thread to get our brains thinking. The juice is flowing. What is the Facebook page, Steve?
Facebook.com/NCCC Freethinkers.
Awesome.
So that's the Facebook page. Anybody's welcome to come join it and start a conversation. There's
Whether it's your own thoughts or anything that, any great thinker of the day or from the past has come up with.
Most definitely.
Add your spin on it. We'll all start adding to it, and hopefully in a little bit we'll have, maybe we'll all get PhDs out of it.
There you go.